At the end of the topic, you will be able to explain the significant role of water, recall the areas of distribution of water on Earth, define the term groundwater, discuss the reasons for water scarcity in our country, explain the methods of conservation of water. Plants need water for germination of seeds, photosynthesis, absorption and transport of mineral nutrients and fertilizers from soil. In animals, water constitutes about 70 to 75% of total body weight. It is the chief component of blood and other body fluids, and it controls all metabolic activities. Availability of water determines the distribution of animals and plants on Earth. For example, desert and polar regions are less inhabited. Water plays a major role in the environment by absorbing heat for keeping it cool during daytime and giving off heat during night to keep it warm. Phenomenon like freezing of water during winter and melting of ice during spring and summer leaves great impact on global temperatures. Freezing of water between the spaces in the rock breaks down rocks and helps in soil formation. About 80% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, and the remaining 20% is covered by land. Of the total water present on Earth, about 97% is marine water and 3% is fresh water. The water is termed as fresh water if it contains less amount of salt. The 3% of fresh water is distributed in such a way that 87% of fresh water is in the form of polar ice caps and glaciers. 12% is in the form of groundwater and salt lakes, and only 1% of fresh water is available for human consumption. Look at the table showing the distribution of water on Earth. Groundwater, river, lake, well and pond are some of the sources of fresh water available for all living organisms. Even though different sources of fresh water are available on Earth, human beings mostly depend on groundwater for their daily activities.
The continuous circulation of water in nature is called water cycle. It is also called the hydrological cycle.
Water that is stored in the soil is said to be groundwater. Groundwater is the source of water in the well. Rain and water from nearby lakes and rivers seeps into soil, forming groundwater. Upper level of groundwater is called water table. In areas with more rainfall, the water table is close to the surface of the soil. In areas with meager rainfall, the water table is at deeper layers of soil. Groundwater that is present up to a depth of 800 meters alone is available to living organisms. If the level of groundwater goes down below 800 meters, it becomes unavailable.
Reasons for the depletion of freshwater resources. Natural forces. Scanty rainfall and hot winds are natural forces that may deplete the water table. Human causes. Deforestation, increased population, rapid urbanization, overgrazing by cattle, excess tapping of groundwater are human causes. Saltwater intrusion. Many parts of the world are losing freshwater sources due to saltwater intrusion. Overuse of underground freshwater reservoirs often allows saltwater to intrude into aquifers and affect the water table. Commercialization of water resources. Some of the private companies suck a large quantity of water from rivers and underground aquifers. Sand grabbing from rivers. Some rivers are deeply affected by sand grabbing. Example, Palar River.
Groundwater generally gets depleted due to the following reasons such as drought, very dry climatic conditions, indiscriminate digging of wells, overusage of groundwater, lake bed used for developmental purposes, discharge of industrial waste into nearby water bodies which contaminates groundwater, excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides in agricultural land.
In this topic you have learned
the continuous circulation of water in nature is called water cycle. It is also called the hydrological cycle. The upper limit of the layer, where all the space between the particles of soil and the gaps between rocks are filled with water, is called the water table. Deforestation, increased population, rapid urbanization, overgrazing by cattle, excess tapping of groundwater are human causes of water depletion. Flow of untreated sewage from homes, toxic chemicals from industries, and of pesticides and insecticides used by farmers into water bodies are some of the reasons of pollution of freshwater resource.
At the end of this topic, you will be able to state the importance of rainwater harvesting, discuss different methods of desalination techniques, signify the role of desalination plants in Chennai, narrate the sweet seawater incident. Rainwater harvesting is the activity of collecting rainwater directly in storage tanks or recharging it to the ground to improve water storage before it is lost as surface runoff. The collected rainwater from rooftops, open spaces, land surface, or rock catchments is stored for human use by using simple techniques and effective ways. The government of Tamil Nadu leads the other states in implementing rainwater harvesting program. It is important to note that the government of Tamil Nadu has made it mandatory for all houses and buildings in the state to install rainwater harvesting facility. There are two main techniques of rainwater harvesting. Storage of rainwater on the surface for future use, recharging the groundwater. Click each to know more. The storage of rainwater on surface is a traditional method. Some of the techniques include constructing ponds, underground tanks, check dams, rooftop water harvesting structures, prevention of seepage losses, and so on. Recharging the groundwater is a new concept of rainwater harvesting. Some of the methods adopted include constructing pits, trenches, dug wells, recharge wells, lateral shafts with bore wells, subsurface dams to arrest base flow of groundwater, and so on. Some of the reasons why rainwater harvesting is important are: surface water is inadequate to meet the growing needs on water for the increasing population. Due to rapid urbanization, infiltration of rainwater into the subsoil has decreased drastically and recharging of groundwater has diminished. It helps to find a better solution for water problems in areas having inadequate water resources. Groundwater levels increases. Increase availability of water from wells and ponds. Upgrade the water quality, soil and environment status. It will help to mitigate the drought effect. Rainwater harvesting can reduce flooding in city streets. Seawater intrusion in coastal areas can be arrested. The groundwater can be conserved. Rainwater harvesting can reduce topsoil loss. It can improve plant growth. Desalination is an artificial process by which saline water is converted into fresh water. In the process, salts and minerals from the seawater is removed to make it suitable for human consumption or industrial use. The most common desalination methods employ distillation and reverse osmosis. Click each text box to know more. Distillation is the process in which both evaporation and condensation go side by side. Reverse osmosis is the process of forcing water through a semi-permeable membrane whose tiny pores allow water to pass but exclude most salts and minerals. The Minjur desalination plant is the largest desalination plant in India. The plant is established on a 60-acre site at a cost of Rs 600 crore in Katupulli village near Minjur, about 35 km north of Chennai. It has 8,600 seawater reverse osmosis membranes to convert seawater into potable water. The reverse osmosis technology of the plant produces 100 million liters a day of fresh water from 273 million liters of seawater. The Minjur desalination plant supplies 100 million liters a day of fresh water to the Chennai Metro Water Corporation at the rate of Rs 48.66 per thousand liters. It serves potable water to an estimated population of 5 lakh in Chennai. Nemmeli desalination plant is the second largest desalination plant by the Chennai Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewage Board, after the Minjur desalination plant. It is constructed at the total cost of 908.28 crores. It has a capacity to convert 100 million liters per day as potable water from seawater. Water from the Nemmeli plant would be carried over 40 kilometers to the city to be supplied to its residents. Thus, it paves the way for the city to receive additional water. The 2006 Mumbai sweet water was a phenomenon during which the residents of Mumbai claimed that the water at Mahim Creek had suddenly turned sweet. Similarly, residents of Gujarat claimed that sea water at Teethal Beach had turned sweet as well. Geologists explained that the water turning sweet is a natural phenomenon. The reason they stated was the continuous rainfall over the preceding few days had caused a large pool of fresh water to accumulate in an underground rock formation near the coast. This water discharged into the sea as a large plume as fractures in the rocks widened. Because of the differences in density, the discharged fresh water floated on top of the salt water of the sea and spread along the coast, which the people tasted and claimed that the salt water had turned to sweet taste. In the course of time, the two would mix to become normal sea water once more. In this topic, you have learned rainwater harvesting is the activity of collecting rainwater directly in storage tanks or recharging it to the ground to improve water storage before it is lost as surface runoff. Desalination is an artificial process by which saline water is converted into fresh water. Minjur Desalination Plant uses the reverse osmosis technology, producing 100 million liters a day of fresh water from 273 million liters of seawater. Nemmeli Desalination Plant is the second largest desalination plant by the Chennai Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewage Board after the Minjur Desalination Plant.